What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It is 6:30 on Monday after a long Labor Day weekend. And I'm just going to give you, we'll make it quick, but I'm going to do a recap. I'm 5 days out from my 20-mile trail race. And I can tell you, I'm pretty beat. Actually, I'm smoked. But I'm not concerned about that because this has just been 12 weeks of up and down, energy levels high, energy levels low, mindset up and down. And that's the whole point of the process, right? You don't just show up and run 20 miles. A lot of people right now think that, at least what I'm hearing, right, when I'm listening to different people talk about mindset and performance, people think that they can just show up and use their mind to get 20 miles in. And I will tell you that is not the case. You got to train the body too, right? And that's what I've been doing. And I'm super excited. Show up, put on a show, and really prove to myself, because that's the only person you got to prove anything to, and get this job done. So 5 days away. I last weekend was up in Acadia. Had a nice, I think it was like a 5 mile. I don't even know what it was actually. It was a mountain run. It was beautiful. I had a great time. I set out to just get some quick mileage in, and I was like planning on it kind of being like a flat run around a lake, and it turned out to be so much more than that. But it was absolutely probably one of the best runs I've had in a long time. It was 5 miles, about 1,000 foot of vertical gain, in about an hour and 20 minutes. 75% of it was runnable, and the rest was a rock scramble. So you can, you get used to Maine. Maine trails are great because they'll pretty much send you straight up. New Hampshire tends to kind of fuck around a little bit. They'll send some switchbacks at you and whatnot, but Maine pretty much gets you right up and right down. And that is something that I love. But 12 weeks of prep, I want to tell you what that looks like. And I'll start with week one. Week one was 14 miles. Week 2 was 14.7 miles. Week 3 was 16 miles. Week 4 was 13.6 miles. Week 5, 16. Week 6, 0. And that was one of the the low points that we hit here, which I've talked about. Then I was back at it for week 7 at 18 miles. Then had another dip to 6 miles, then to 0. Another struggle. But climbed back to 21 miles that next week, followed by 12 miles, and then followed by this recent week of 28 miles. So I'm locked in. I'm ready to fucking go. I'm excited. Can't wait to get through these next couple days at work and then just let loose on Saturday. I'm expecting the pain. And I'm ready for it. And I'll tell you, I was prepping a little bit for it this week and this weekend, and I'll get to that. But coming into after the trip to Acadia, coming home, starting my week, Monday, Tuesday was just terrible. Completely smoked, had nothing to give anybody. Started to get down on myself, started feeling bad for myself. And, I had done that podcast where I talked about building your own energy and how, you can generate energy even from a point of where you're thinking that none will ever come again, right? So I was able to climb out of that funk by telling myself, hey, listen, man, I know you don't feel good. I know you're tired. I took 2 days, rested, slept like crazy. Boom, back at it, hit 5 miles on the treadmill the following day. So that was I think that was a Thursday. Then hit a nice 7 miles on Friday. Great run. It was like 5:30 in the morning. Earned my sunrise, which I think is also something to mention. I've talked about it a few times. I said, listen, just go out for a walk and early in the morning. And I know a lot of people aren't going to do it, but the one or two that do, you will see what I'm talking about, man. Get out there, earn the fucking sunrise, get a view that most people aren't going to get. And, you got to work for it, man. You got to work for it. And I think that's what's so special about it. So when I'm up 5:30 in the morning, I'm running, it's dark, I'm watching the sunrise, right? And then I get up to Canoma Point, come around the corner, and there it is. One of the most beautiful sunrises I've ever seen. And I know that there's other high performers looking at that same sunrise. So get out there, experience it. I love it. That's what it's all about. So anyway, I had low energy coming in. That's what I want to talk about, right? I felt like absolute shit was in the dumpster. Mindset was starting to waver. And I just knew that I had to get moving, right? Because when you're down like that and you're not feeling good, you think that you need to just stop doing everything. And I've made that mistake. But when you stop doing everything, then the mindset starts to kind of slip. And then you start to get upset with yourself that you're not doing anything. And then for some reason, you start feeling bad for yourself, and then all your energy starts draining out. So when I start to feel that way, and I feel that way right now, and I know tomorrow is going to suck, okay? But I'm ready for it. I know how I'm going to feel, and I know that I got 4 days to really kind of recover hard. Ramp up the carbs, eat a ton of food, sleep a ton, just try to have a low-stress week, and show up ready to perform. But the whole point is that I made the end of my week one of the best weeks I've had for my training, even though the beginning of it started out terribly, right? If you had told me at the beginning of the week that I was going to crank out a 16-mile run on a Sunday, I would have laughed at you. Because I can tell you, we were headed up to Wolfboro, and I was not going to bring my bike or my running stuff. I just wanted to relax because I came off, low energy week, cranked 5 on the treadmill, 7 on Friday, and I'm like, I need to just relax. My wife talked me into bringing my bike. Her cousin's kids love riding mountain bikes, and I love riding with them. So she's like, convinced me to bring it. She's like, listen, dude, just go out for a nice, easy ride, have fun, relax. So I was like, all right, yeah, no problem. So I intentionally was like, I'm not bringing my running stuff. But I threw some shoes in the car. I packed some clothes I could run in. But I didn't bring my hydration vest. I didn't even bring, I have a small carrier that'll kind of goes around my waist where I can throw 2 water bladders in and my cell phone and some calories. And I intentionally didn't even bring that. I didn't bring any calories with me. I didn't bring anything, right? So I'm like, all right, maybe I'll run 2 to 5 miles. Just because, right? We'll see how I feel. So I get there, and, we've spent a lot of years at the lake up in Wolfboro, and we were visiting, Devin's family, which was a blast. I had probably the greatest time I've had all summer. So anyway, rode bikes on Saturday, got some nice miles in, had a great little time. And then, we came back to the place and we're hanging out, and there's a guy there who's trained for many, many Ironmans. And we were talking, and I told him I had my 20-miler coming up. And he's like, well, hey, listen, tomorrow get a nice run in. The trails around here are great. And, just easy. Enjoy yourself. And I didn't have the heart to tell him oh, man, I was going to think about resting, wham, right? Because, he could probably do a 20-miler in his sleep, and here I was sitting there about to make an excuse. And instead I just shut my mouth, and I was like, great, I guess we're running in the morning. So I had a great night. Saw a shooting star when we were out having a fire. Just had an all-around amazing day. Woke up in the morning, felt like ass, didn't want to run, sat there, looked at the shoes for a while. I was like, you know what, just get out there, dude. Just get out there, run into downtown. There's a rail trail. It's beautiful. And you can go left, and left goes to downtown Wolfboro. It's about 3 miles. And then right goes out to Wakefield, New Hampshire, and I think it's 11 miles one way, right? So I head down towards downtown, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll just run 3, get a coffee, relax and run 3 back. I mean, to be honest with you, it started with, I'm going to run 2.5, turn around and run 2.5 back, and then, call it a day. So I always tell everybody when I run, like, don't evaluate how you feel until you're past like 2.5 miles. Because for me, at least, every time 1 mile in, 2 miles in, it always feels the same way. Like ass. Like, turn around. This sucks. Nothing good's going to happen from this. Like, let's get out of here, right? So I ran downtown and, I had the intention of getting a coffee, sitting down, and then running back. But I didn't bring, like, my carrier like I mentioned earlier. So I had to, like, take my case off of my cell phone and just tuck my cell phone in, like, I have some running shorts that have, like, a tight pocket in them. So I threw it in there, holds it tight to your leg. But I took the case off, and the case is my wallet. It has all my cards in it and stuff. So I get downtown, and I'm like, oh, let's get a coffee. And I'm like, fuck, I don't even have any money, And not to mention that the one place downtown Lydia is a cash only anyway. So, I don't even know what I was thinking. So I started running back, and so that's, mile 3+, hit mile 3.5, and I'm like, you know what? Like, let's run 7. I like 7, it feels good. So kept running, ended up running right past where I would turn into the shore to end my run. I was like, let's go a little bit further. So I get to like 10 miles, and I'm like, oh, man, like, fuck it, let's do a half marathon. And when I put those things in front of myself, like, once I say, let's do it, like, I have to do it no matter what. And as soon as the thought pops into my head, right? Because who would want to do that before, this big race, right? Most people are going to be, hey, like, take it easy, let's go. And here I am, like, maybe just test myself a little bit before the main event, right? And that's kind of my mentality anyway. So I was like, let's hit the miles. So problem is that I didn't have any calories. I didn't have any water because I didn't plan to be out there running. So I called in to my wife, and I told her, I said, hey, listen, I don't have any food. I don't have any water. Can you have the kids bring some watermelon and some water with electrolytes down on their bikes? So I was like probably 4 miles away from where they were at. But it's a rail trail, so they can make some good time. So I just kept headed out. I just kept burying the miles, and I ended up getting, I think it was probably 11 miles, 12 miles before I turned around. Came back about a half mile, and there they were, showed up on their bikes, had some watermelon and about 30 ounces of water, and they headed back, and so did I. So ended up rounding up 16 miles. Longest I've ever run in my lifetime. I ran 15 back in May when I was in the Hamptons. And so up in Wolfboro, cracked my longest run ever, 16 miles. Let me see. I can look up the time here in case anybody's curious. I really don't care too much about it. I know my pace started falling off after 10 miles, but I ended up finishing, I think it was, let's look. Hold on one second. All right, so total mileage 16.02 with an 11:11 pace, 2 hours and 59 minutes on my feet. So what's important to know there is 20 miles on the trails. I'm going to be out there probably, if I have a good day, I'd say probably 2 hours longer than that. So my mentality of being out there running all that mileage was to just say, hey, listen, like, I'm suffering. This is going to suck, but it's going to be even worse 20 miles on the trail. So let's build up to it. Let's get a little bit of that pain in today, and let's discover some things that we need to know before race day. And I'll tell you what I discovered. So toes started getting a little tender. Bottoms, pads of my feet started getting a little tender, so we discussed that. And we have to make sure to put some lubricant on my toes, Vaseline or like any gelatin, like a substance, like, I think it's the stuff you put on your tattoos. That works good too. Keeps everything kind of lubricated. And then, not to give too much information, but that type of mileage, your ass cheeks start rubbing together, and they start to kind of chafe, and they start to wear against each other. So I'd say probably around mile 14. If you've got no ass, you're in good shape. But if you're like me and you got some cheeks, like, you got to make sure you put some. They make this thing called nut butter. So I'll be packing that in to make sure that I don't have any issues come race day. But listen, if I hadn't ran those 16, probably would have figured this out the hard way on race day. So note to everybody out there pushing the mileage up, if you got some ass cheeks, make sure you put the proper lubricant between the cheeks before you go out for a long run. I don't want you to learn the hard way. So anyway, 16 miles down. I spent the rest of the day on a cloud, eating whatever I want, just really enjoying the effort. Drove home last night, got back home, and this morning woke up fucking feeling like absolute shit, which was expected. But, my wife had some things planned. She wanted to go for a ride in the S2000, and we wanted to go to the beach. So I woke up this morning, got like 10 and a half hours of sleep, and I really didn't want to go drive my car, even though that's like one of the most fun things, right? I just didn't feel good. Smoked for a good reason, right? But I said, you know what? Let's just push through it. Let's go get the car. Let's go for a rip, whatever. So I go get the car, came back, picked my wife up. We hit a couple local farms, got some stuff for dinner tonight. I got Dom's steak tips. Got some great mozzarella to go with some of the tomatoes I got at Top of the Hill Farm in Wolfboro. So yeah, gonna have a great dinner tonight. Packing some carbs, probably do some white rice with some really good butter. Yeah, I'm already tasting it now. This is the only thing. This podcast stands between me and dinner right now. So we'll go for a little bit longer, and then I'm out of here. Anyway, got to drive my car today and then hit the beach and had a great day. And I'll tell you right now, I can feel the exhaustion kind of setting in. So I know tomorrow's going to be difficult, and then probably the day after. But right now, the strategy is hitting the foot bath with some Epsom salt, using the massage gun on my legs, and trying to stretch out a little bit, and just trying to keep a positive mental attitude, because that's what starts to fade. You start getting kind of short with people. You have little patience, and you can just feel the overall fatigue setting in. So that'll go away soon here if I just lock in the sleep and just not overthink it. So this is just a preview to how I'm going to be feeling next Sunday when I talk to you guys after completing that race. So that will be a difficult one to jump on, because I will be super tired, but I will be super stoked about completing it. And yeah, I get it. Haven't completed it yet, and I'm already talking about completing it, but who would ever talk about not completing it, right? So I know I'm going to crush it. I'm excited. Got a text from somebody the other day that said, yo, listen, bro, this is light work for you. Light work, baby. And that message inspired me. I was fucking stoked when I read it. I got started getting jacked the fuck up, because I know, like, come the day that I got to perform, like, I fucking know how to perform. I know how to flip that fucking switch, and that's what's been going on. I've been buried in the process, struggling. You guys have heard it. I've been fucked up. Week to week, it's been a struggle. Ups and downs, fucking roller coaster ride. But I'm ready. That's what this is about. So I walk in, when I toe the starting line, I'm ready to fucking go. That's the whole thing. There's no doubt. There's no fear. There's no insecurity. Like, I'm getting across the finish line. I got to fucking crawl there. I will. Like, that's it. I know, and I can trust myself that I'm going to get this fucking shit done. Right? So when I see a text like that, light work, like, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. Light work, baby. Let's do it. I love the suffering. This is why I do everything that I do, because guess what? The best part, it's not about the running. It's never been about the running. Okay? It's about the quitting. Because when you run every single step, you can quit. You set out to run X amount of miles. Nobody's going to make you do it. Okay? You can turn around at anybody anytime. No one's going to know. Fuck, you could still go tell everybody, oh yeah, I ran 5, and you didn't even get out of bed. Right? Only you know. The guy in the mirror fucking knows. He's the one keeping the fucking score. Right? But it's about the quitting. So when I go out and run, every single step, I can quit. But every single step that I don't, that's just strengthening my mind. Okay? There's proof that the amygdala is like every other muscle in the body. You can strengthen it. Okay? That is the muscle that stops you from quitting. Okay? So I keep standing in there every single step, every single mile, because I know it's not about the running. Okay? Because it's about everything else in my life. Building the business. Okay? There's been so many times where I've had so much doubt, so much fear, so much insecurity about, putting myself out there. And there it is. The running has taught me not to quit. It's taught me how to push through that doubt, that fear, that insecurity, right? It's not about the running. It's about not quitting. So that's why it's so important to me. So I'm going to tell you a story that goes back to my childhood that I draw on for, I wouldn't say confidence, but I guess maybe not faith either. It's just more about like knowing who the fuck I am and how I was raised. Or not even that, the expectation of who I should be, right? And my father set that expectation for me and my mother, but my dad's a big part of this story. So when we were kids, we would do a lot of hiking in the White Mountains. And I've mentioned this before, but I've done all the 4,000 footers in New Hampshire. And I didn't realize how cool of a feat it was until I started, getting to know, some people as an adult. When I tell people that, they think that was really cool. As a kid, I fucking hated it. Every weekend going up and hiking mountains. But, that taught me something. And I'll tell you, if you have kids, get them out in the woods, get them climbing mountains. It teaches you a lot. But there's this one particular hike, and I'll never forget it. It was an overnighter out of the Pemigewasset Wilderness. Bond and Bond Cliff, Little Bond. It was a fucking 24-mile loop or some shit. But anybody that knows the Pemigewasset Wilderness, there's like an 8-mile walk into the trailhead. And you can't ride a bike. That's fucking cheating, right? So you got to walk. So you carry your pack, your overnight pack. You're just humping it in. All the miles look the same, dude. And it sucks. So we do this big, long loop, spend the night below tree line, hang your food, do all that jazz. And I think I was probably 12, say probably 12 years old. Give or take a few years, I'm not sure. I don't even know if my mom and dad would remember how old I was, but I can tell you I was young. And on the way in, this is what makes it even crazier. On the way in, we're headed into the... there's this giant cable bridge that goes across, and we're going down the cable bridge, and there's a woman hysterical. I'll never forget it. She was in her 60s, hysterical, and we ended up finding out that her husband had a heart attack on the mountain, and they had to airlift him. So here we are. I'm a little kid. My brother's young. We're heading in for an overnight hike on a trail that somebody just had a heart attack on, right? So that just adds to it. So anyway, we bang out the first night, coming out the second day, tired, low on food, low spirit, right? And then we finally get to this 8-mile stretch out, right? And I can remember my brother and I couldn't feel our legs, crying the whole way, right? Just crying, walking and crying. And my dad would just look at us and say, hey, 5 more minutes. And he must have said 5 more minutes for the next 3 hours. But we got there. And I can remember how I felt, how my legs felt, how my spirit felt. I still remember that. And I just kept going 5 more minutes. I just kept surviving 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. I have yet to feel that pain, that break of my spirit, but that rally. Haven't felt that since then, and I'm searching for that. I'm searching to be crying on that fucking trail and still pushing through it. Do I think 20 miles is going to do it? I don't know. We'll find out. But if 20 miles doesn't do it, and I'm putting this out here right now, because if I know I put it out there right now, I'm going to have to fucking do it. The next, after the 20 mile, I'd love to say it's a marathon, but maybe it's just a 50K ultra, right? 50K ultra marathon. Maybe that. If the 20 miler doesn't find the tears, maybe that will, okay? And the lesson from that story that I take with me is that you can push to tears and you can keep going, and then you can learn something from it, And then you can be really proud of it. And then it can define the rest of your life and how you show up. So for any of you, wherever you are in your life, push to tears. Whether that's physically, whether that's mentally. We all know that I have pushed to tears mentally. And that has taught me tons of things, but I'm looking for the tears physically. And I think that will be a very special moment that I make sure to share with you. So we're ready to roll. I'm locked the fuck in. Looking forward to the pain. I know it's going to hurt, but I can assure you, I will be fucking smiling the entire time. Catch you later.